Well, just when you think big was big enough, you got it wrong because the folks at Linkswell are pushing the envelope on what size means to the source unit category. Today on CMA Networks, we are covering Linkswell and they've got some huge announcements with some brand new product coming your way. This is CMA Networks brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Linkswell. And it starts now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another session here on CMA Networks brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and we are cruising along the source unit category and have come to a big stop. And there's no pun intended there because Linkswell has been pioneering this category when it comes to large format displays. If you happen to catch them at any of the shows or you are already a dealer, then you know that this is a very unique manufacturer providing very unique solutions which I feel are probably trending at the top of the list right now. Now, we've got Jonathan Detlefsen in the studio with us today. Jonathan, what are we going to be covering on today's show?
Yeah, man, we've got some really cool things to show off, some stuff we are incredibly excited about. We're going to show off our new T-Style XL. You mentioned big screens. This is the biggest yet. We're going to talk about our Generation 6 to make sure that all of the work we've done to make our stuff look factory, that we're not leaving that behind for those of you who love that. We're going to talk about Gen 5 and the fact that we are now SiriusXM radio on the Gen 5. We're going to talk about double DIN radios. We're going to talk about IQ radios. We're just going to talk about a few of our source units that I think might just change the game in some shops.
Well, Jonathan, I'm pumped just as much as you are to get into it. But first, a quick message from our sponsor, SiriusXM, reminding you why dealers love it. And when we get back, let's dig into some jumbo-sized screenage from Linkswell.
Hey guys, Ricky Lima here from SiriusXM. I had a chance to speak to some dealers and ask them what they love about selling SiriusXM. Here's what they had to say.
Coast-to-coast coverage.
I love SiriusXM for commercial-free music.
It's a great add-on sale and a profit opportunity.
We love selling SiriusXM because you can listen to the same channel coast to coast.
Profitability and ease of installation. It's a no-brainer.
We love selling SiriusXM for its ease of installation, great profitability, and reliability.
People love it.
All right, we're going to get right in. And Jonathan, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, obviously, this whole trend that we see in automotive design from the OEM is clear, and that is people want big screens. Now, it seems like Linkswell's kind of been at the helm of this ship for quite some time. So why don't you briefly summarize for us like the last 12 to 18 months of Linkswell and what you see the market is at right now with consumers?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. The industry, I mean, honestly, it probably goes all the way back to Tesla. When Tesla first released their first car with that big tablet just kind of hanging off the dash, everybody was like, man, I want a big screen in my car. And then as the cars continue to grow, like 8-inch screens, now you have Dodge put out that 12-inch screen on the Dodge Ram. So the industry, as far as the manufacturers are concerned, they have seen that the people, that the consumer genuinely wants that bigger screen. They want a multimedia system that does more than just an AM, FM, and CarPlay. They want something that offers more, which is something that we've kind of bought onto a few years ago, and we've really pushed the envelope in trying to create radios for those older vehicles that aren't able to have those big factory screens. So our T-Style radios, but when we released those like 3-4 years ago, but this last year we've done a lot of just kind of soul searching on what it is we want to do next, because we feel like we've kind of hit the limit. If you look at the dashes on these vehicles, like all of our T-Style radios, we really have put the biggest screen we could possibly fit in the dash. Depending on the size and shapes, we've got anywhere from a 9.7 inch up to a 12.1 inch. But those were about as big as we could get in there just because of the size that the dash was cut. We went as big as we could get. And with factory radios coming out with like 13 and 14, and with Tesla always still having that bigger one, we wanted to find a way that we could jump up. We wanted to get bigger than 12-inch. And with the industry shifting, like if you notice all of these new radios that are coming out, even with the Chevy truck, the the new F-150, the Mach-E from Mustang. All of these new radios are kind of coming with more of that floating screen look. And so what that means is they're no longer making the screen fit into the dash, but they're actually making the dash look like it's supposed to hold something bigger. So with the industry shifting that way, that was our opportunity. So this past year, we went looking for the biggest screen we could find that was an automotive grade screen that we could put into a car. So we actually came across a big old 15.6-inch screen, and then we started to just kind of reverse engineer. So we had all of this R&D work that we had done to make radios sit flush and pretty, and now we're like, okay, how can we now keep that same goal, right? We still want to be flush and pretty. We still want to look like we belong there, but we also want to be able to put this 15-inch screen in the dash. And so what we've done is we've created and taken our tooling and made it so that now these radios, they're bigger, they don't quite sit flush, but they do look like they belong in there. So this past year, we've done a lot of work at changing and just continually pushing forward to get a bigger screen than we've ever had before.
Well, Jonathan, I think this is a perfect segue now. You're talking about big screens. Well, I think what you're referring to is the brand new XL series from Linkswell. Do you have one there that you can show us? Because it just sounds like it's so jumbo, I can't even imagine how this would fit.
All right, Ben. So I actually have two here with me. One of them, I will actually show you a live demo of it actually functioning, some cool things that you can see about it. And the other one, actually what I did was I set it up over here on my table so I can just show you a visual difference. When I say big screen, I mean big screen. See, on the left-hand side there, that is your factory Ford F-150 Sync 3 8-inch screen. Right next to that is our Generation 5, which we'll actually talk about a little bit later in the video, I believe. And then right there is our XL, and you can just see the progression from 8-inch to 12-inch, and then 12-inch to 15.6-inch screen. When we say bigger screen, man, we genuinely and truly mean bigger screen. But the bigger screen isn't where the XL stops. The bigger screen also gave us a whole lot more features. So there's some cool features that I'd love to show off, if I could, about what this new XL series has. One of the big ones, obviously, is going to be the big, fat, massive 15.6-inch screen, but we also have a on-screen knob. Now, if you've seen the Mach-E or maybe even the Ford Lightning, it's almost identical to that. It's going to be an on-screen knob. It'll do multiple functions, so I can turn it in its volume, and then if I was to swipe down here, it becomes a climate control, and now it does my fan speed. So it's multifunction. It'll actually do temperature and stuff like that as well. It does mute right there on the screen. So we look, again, like I said, we want to look factory, but we want to be bigger. So that's right there. And then as far as the home screen goes, I mention this pretty much every time we talk about a Linkswell radio, is the fact that because we're Android, because we're able to do all of these different things, we can genuinely customize your screen. Like, you could literally drag and move an app on the screen. When you download more apps, they're right there on the screen. I actually can go into the Google Play Store here and I can show you just how easy it is for us to go ahead and download whatever app we happen to want to download. So if we wanted to do, you know, because I'm old, my kids actually call me old because I play Candy Crush. Apparently that's not a cool game to play, but I think it's a cool game. So just like that, I logged in, I hit download, and now what's going to happen is it's going to start downloading, and it'll pop up over here on my home page. And now we've just installed an app, guys. That is how easy it is to start customizing the radio. We could do stuff like Pluto TV. If you guys don't know what Pluto TV is free live TV. They've got different stations, and it's all super easy, just like that, and we can decide what we want to watch. This is all right here on the radio. Now, these are all features that will happen pretty much on any one of our T-style radios. It doesn't really matter if you're doing the XL, doesn't matter if you're doing the 6, but you could do all these cool features on them. But let me tell you something that's really cool about this XL series. So one thing that we got asked a lot about was, how can you make this boot up faster? How can you make it run faster? And can I make it so that I don't need Wi-Fi? And so what we did was we took the three biggest things, outside of course the bigger screen, we took those three biggest features that people wanted, and we were able to accomplish all three in this T-Style XL. So we actually have a SIM card spot now. So you can slide a tablet SIM card. You can go to your provider, add a line. I think for ours, we were paying like $15 and add a line. And now you don't even need Wi-Fi, because as soon as you boot up the truck, boom, it's already activated. You've got internet. You can do internet, which means any app that you have downloaded on the radio, whether that's Netflix, whether it's Pluto TV, whether it's Prime Video, or maybe you're using one of the navigations like Waze, Google Maps, Onyx Off-Road, one of those apps, you'll be able to do those apps, and you can do wireless CarPlay. That's a big thing, because wireless CarPlay requires the control of the Wi-Fi chip, and that was one short side, but not really a short side, just a conflict within our Generation 5 and lower radios was, in order to do wireless CarPlay, the wireless CarPlay needed to control the Wi-Fi chip, and once you did that, you lost the ability to do anything online. So what we've done here is putting a SIM card in it now means you can do wireless CarPlay and still have it all tethered to the internet. The other thing I mentioned was the fact that people wanted it to boot up quicker. So we have, for a good couple years, really wrestled with how to create a quick boot up. Really, the only way to do it is to create a sleep timer. Here's the problem with a sleep timer. Just like your computer, if you never shut your computer down and it's always running, eventually the RAM runs out and the computer crashes, which on a computer isn't a horrible thing. It can cause some problems, but you just restart and it works. Now, when this computer is in your vehicle and it's in the CAN bus, when that crashes and the CAN bus can no longer make connection, now we have a problem. So what we've done is we've kind of created a fail-safe inside there. So let's say you get in and out of your vehicle 10, 15 times and not a whole lot of RAM's been used, it'll boot up instantly. It's just gonna wake up, you're gonna turn on the key, it'll be awake. Now every like 15 or 20 times, it'll have to do a full reboot, and what that's doing is it's protecting your car and the radio from having a major failure on the RAM. So now we have quick boot up, and we have built-in Wi-Fi, because those things, like I said, were the things that people wanted. Now, we also upgraded our chipset. So we went from our Generation 5 has a 4 gig RAM, 64 gigabyte memory processor. That's what we had, quad core. So we went looking, and now we've doubled that. So now we have an 8 gigs of RAM, octa-core, and we're running at I believe it's 128 gig memory. So more memory to put things on the tablet, more things to do, and it's going to do it quicker, it's going to do it faster. Really, it's just going to be limited by how good of service you end up being around. But if I could, just because I think it's cool, I just want to show you a couple apps that kind of really set us apart as far as any other radio is concerned. Like I mentioned the video streaming, and I've mentioned the fact that you can download apps, but there are things that you can do like Ring. So many people have devices like a Ring device, a doorbell, or an alarm system or something like that, and it's all connected to your phone. And being able to control third-party devices, that's a big deal. Right? It's a big deal to be able to, we all love an app. I mean, I'm the worst. My family will attest to it. If there's an app for something, I'm downloading it. I might not keep it because it might not be functional, but I'm going to download it because I want to check it out. Apps are what it's all about. And so when I have a Ring device and I can check when my kids get home, and I can check when my kids leave, I can make sure that Amazon package gets there. I can do all of that. See, with Ring, it's great. My doorbell rings, I pull up my phone and I can answer it. Well, what if you're driving? What if you happen to be on your way to work and your doorbell rings? Nobody wants to have to dig their phone out of the pocket and do all of that. But if you had an XL with a SIM card and you just happen to be driving along where it's going, somebody rings your doorbell, you'll get a little notification across your radio just like you would your phone. And you can actually tap that notification, open up the Ring app, and have a conversation to whoever's at your front door. I can go in and I can check my cameras. So I can go right now, this is going to be a live feed from our tech room. So that right there, if you're a customer of ours and you call our tech support, that's the room you're calling. Right there live, guys. You saw me do it. I just touched the screen, and now I'm watching what's going on the Ring. So You could do things like ring devices. We've worked with a company called AAC Trigger. They're an off-road lighting company. They make a light system that is all ran via app. So rather than having a whole bunch of switches coming into your dash and having all these individual manual switches for you to turn on lights, what the Trigger does is it makes an app. Really cool. Well, it's even cooler when you're on the trails and you can just tap on the radio, open up the Trigger app, and just start controlling your lights right there from the radio rather than needing to pull out your phone. So third-party apps and the control of third-party apps is one of the biggest and coolest things, and probably one of the things a lot of people don't realize that you can do on our radios. You could probably, depending if it's a Wi-Fi controlled thing, you might even be able to open your garage door. I do know if you have Ring and you're using the Ring alarm and you have one of the door or the lock systems, you can actually lock and unlock your door. You can turn lights on all within that Ring app on the radio, and it's just because we're giving you that option. And also, I did mention my family loves to call me old, so we can do cool things like emulators. Now, I know this is not probably the normal guy thing, but we could do cool things where, let me just end this app because I was playing before we got on here, I was playing Street Fighter 2 for all my old folks, or, you know, where the game started. But this is a simple app that actually has ROMs built in it. You download this app. Let me show you this right here. I just got a really cheap USB remote. And now I can, whenever I'm bored, just go in here, open up what I want to play, and I can take this remote in my hand and I can relive my childhood. I can relive my childhood right here playing video games. Now, I know I got picked on a little bit here from some of my younger techs that, you know, this is old school. What about new games? Well, the other thing we have is we have an HDMI input now. That was a big thing with our Generation 4. We lost it for a while because of a chip shortage. Well, we got it back, which means now if your son's got a Switch and you want to plug a Switch in there and he can play on the car ride, right there on a big old screen. You just don't look while you're driving. But we got a lot of cool things that you could do. We got HDMI in. All of these apps, and I'm telling you, these are all things that you're not going to do on a standard radio. These are all things that you're not going to do on a factory radio. And the XL series is going to do it so much faster and so much better than we've ever done before. I'm telling you, this new T-Style XL is genuinely, I believe, going to be something that completely changes the market.
Jonathan, I gotta say, the feature set, the possibilities, and just the user interface of what these new XL radios, and for that matter, so many of these features you mentioned are pretty much universal throughout all the Linkswell units because of the fact that they're Android-based, which leads me to your most popular and really the platform which I feel has put Linkswell in the position that you're in, is in the T-Style radios. Now, up until now, we are very familiar with the Generation 5, very recently introduced the Generation 6, so maybe you can speak to that a little bit and talk about some of the differences that the Gen 6 brings to the table.
Yeah, our T-Style radio really has been the platform that has just set us up, and it's been kind of the marker that we've used to make sure that we just keep pushing through. So when I showed that image earlier where the three radios were next to each other, you can notice the Gen 5 in the middle looks factory, and that's kind of been the way, like I mentioned before, how we really pushed the T-Style radios is we wanted it to look like it belonged in there. And quite frankly, there are going to be a few SKUs that we just aren't able to do an XL radio in. The easiest one to most is the Mustang radio. So the way the Mustang dash works is right above where the factory radio ends is the air vents. So we would have no ability to go above that, or we would block your air vents. So for the Mustang radio, we just won't be able to do an XL, T-Style XL. And there are other makes and models that are kind of in the same realm. And so then you just add the fact that, in all honesty, some folks would just prefer a little bit smaller screen, but looks like it belongs in there. Now, we're not going all the way down to an 8-inch screen, right? We're still at a 12-inch screen. So that's what we did with our Generation 6. So the thing about the Generation 6 is it's not a Generation 5 as far as the internal components. It's like a T-Style XL. So the same processor that I talked about being an octa-core with 8 gigs of RAM with all the extra memory, those are the same components going into the Generation 6, which means the Generation 6 also is going to have the ability to do the SIM card. It's also going to have the sleep timer. And just as I demoed all of the different apps that you can do on our XL, you will be able to do on the Generation 6. So in order for us to, I don't know, hold true to what we have and to not make it so that we're losing applications, we decided we've got all these new components. We still have all of this R&D work we've done when it comes to fitment on the generations prior. So what we did is we created a Generation 6 T-style, holding true to those T-styles, where it's going to look like it will a Generation 5 as far as fitment's concerned, but it's going to boast all of the cool things that the XL has, of course, minus the on-screen knob, because with the on-screen knob, that's specifically for that 15-inch screen. So if you really like that multifunction on-screen knob, you're just going to have to go with the XL. But the Generation 6 is going to give all of those same features that you have with that XL, SIM card, fast boot, and all of that stuff. And we will continue to manufacture our Generation 5. And here's the reason. Anybody knows SiriusXM takes quality and their customers' interface very seriously. They want to make sure that every customer they have, no matter what product they're using, whether that's an aftermarket radio or a factory radio, a mobile radio, whether it's even the app on your phone, SiriusXM is very, very much committed to having a very smooth and nice running interface. What that means for companies like us is the process to get approved for SiriusXM can be lengthy. In fact, ours almost lasted 2 years to get our Generation 5 to where it was SiriusXM ready and approved. So what's happened with the Generation 6 and the XL, because we've changed all of our internal hardware, we have to start that process all over again. But what we decided, rather than going after the normal SiriusXM, one thing that we're doing with the XL and the Gen 6 and that lineup is we're taking and we're going to push forward, and we're getting to start with the development with SiriusXM to do the Sirius 360, which I'm sure SiriusXM has all of the cool features about what that will add, so you can check that out. But those are the things that we're going to start pushing forward when it comes to like that Generation 6. Possibly might come out in the Generation 7, but maybe Generation 2 XL will have the ability to do SiriusXM 360. So, but there are a lot of folks, especially up in Canada, that SiriusXM was a big deal. We had that asked for years, and like I said, we try to listen, we try to move forward. We did work through all of the process with SiriusXM, and so we will continue to produce the Generation 5 because it is SiriusXM ready. And so I did want to kind of show off the interface just a little bit so you can see kind of the work we put in. It's right there, big, nice, simple way to function SiriusXM. What you're seeing right now is a live feed out of our Generation 5 12-inch screen running the SiriusXM app. And this will do, the Generation 5 is going to do pretty much everything that the Generation 6 and the XL has, again, minus the SIM card and the sleep timer, but it is SiriusXM ready. So we are excited just in the fact that up until probably this year, we just kind of had one radio, right? We had whatever the newest was. It was going to be the Generation 4, then the Generation 5. But now what we've done is we've actually branched out and created different tiers. We actually have a T-Style Lite, which we could probably talk about on a different show, where it's a more of a slimmed down, cheaper, more budget system where you could put a big screen. It doesn't have quite the same features. But this year, 2023, we have really kind of broadened our options, I guess you could say, with how we could help you kind of serve your customer the best. If you've got a SiriusXM hardcore to the I need SiriusXM, we've got a Generation 5 for you now that you can plug that V300 tuner in, and you'll have SiriusXM on the big screen. You'll get the wireless CarPlay, you'll get the Google Play Store, you'll get to do all the cool things like the Ring app and the emulator apps. Or maybe you have somebody that's super techie, wants to run a lot of big programs, but they like the look of the Gen 5, they don't really care about SiriusXM. Well, now we have the Generation 6. We're going to give you the sleep timer, we're going to give you the built-in SIM card, but we're going to keep to that factory look. And then, of course, we have the XL. We're going to go big or go home. So we have this kind of this buffet, I guess you could say, for the first time in our company's history when it comes to the radios. We really feel like we are able to get a radio for you, for your customer, depending if they are coming in and they just want something simple for a phone, they want something fancy, they want SiriusXM, they want to be able to have their own internet, or maybe they just want to go big and have this massive screen. We've got this buffet for things. So, but Generation 5, there you go, SiriusXM ready, 6 in XL, not quite yet, but that's what we got, guys. This was an exciting thing for us. SiriusXM, we got it approved. So if you're a SiriusXM guy, make sure you head down to your dealer and get one of those Gen 5s.
I like what Jonathan said there, because it really does feel that we as an industry have witnessed Linkswell really expand their category. And you mentioned the word buffet. So I think at the end of this buffet, we have to talk about some of the more universal options in both the double DIN as well as the IQ series. So Jonathan, why don't you break that down for us and round out this presentation?
Yeah, I'd love to end on some universal stuff. So I will actually go to the far end. So I just talked about all of our vehicle-specific stuff in our T-Styles. So I'm going to jump all the way to the other end when it comes to the double DINs, and then I'll tell you about the IQs because they kind of fit in the middle there. So the thing about our double DINs is they're going to boast what a typical double DIN will. It's going to have an industry standard double DIN chassis. So whether you get whatever your kit preference is, we should be able to mount in any one of those kits. And you'll notice on the face of that double DIN, it is a little bit thicker. It's about 3 times as thick as a normal double DIN face. What that does is it just gives you a little bit of ability to push the screen out further so you can get a little bit more clearance. Now, I know the oversized screen has kind of been an industry standard for the last few years, so I know you techs know that you might have to do a little bit of finagling work to make sure that a screen that's floating isn't going to hit something. We're going to be the same thing, but we are trying to give you a little bit of extra play to be able to go in and out when it comes to mounting. But one thing that does make our double DINs a little different than everybody else is it's actually a motorized screen. So not a motorized in the sense that it hides away, but rather that it can work in widescreen or it can work vertically. So this is kind of a cool thing if you do any kind of mapping. You know, it's always nice to have the screen vertical because the mapping is kind of going to go ahead of you. It just looks like it's just a cleaner way of doing navigation. Or maybe you want to do split screen where you have 2 apps. That's the way you're going to want to do it. But then, you know, when you want to watch a movie, just like your phone, you never watch YouTube in vertical mode unless you're watching a short, right? But if you're watching a widescreen video, you want that screen flipped the other way. So what makes these double DINs a little cooler possibly than our T-style radios is the ability to go widescreen. So you're not using the whole black bars across the top and bottom to size the screen. So you can do the big thing. But these double DINs are going to give you the cool features like the T-Style. It's got the Google Play Store, which means you can go in there, you can download your favorite apps. When it comes to the audio file, guys, look, we've got front rear sub preamps. We have a Toslink output. We have both coax and SPDIF for you, for all you high-end audiophiles that want to do some high-end audio gear. There it is right there. Normal stuff like AM, FM, Wi-Fi built in. So you can do all these cool things super easy, all plug and play. The harnesses are going to go in nice, tight. It's going to look in there smooth. We've got where you can do, we'll be able to retain steering wheel controls and pretty much everything you'd hope in an aftermarket radio, being able to put into just about any car. Now, when we talk about the IQ, here's the difference between the IQ and the double DIN. As far as the components are concerned, everything's pretty much the same thing. You're going to have the same processor. You're going to have all of the same features. You're actually going to have pretty much the same size screen. But the idea behind the IQ is, I got one here in my hand. You can see nice and thin. It's about 2 inches deep, but this has got a certain footprint. So rather than taking a normal dash kit that will take a double DIN and then it looks aftermarket, even the best looking double DIN kits still look like double DIN kits. What these IQ kits do is it gives you a little bit different look. So we have 3 variations when it comes to the IQ radios. Check those out on our website. We've got one that floats and rotates just like that double DIN. We have like this one here I have in my hand that's all flat and just touchscreen. And we have one that'll be similar and it'll have a couple manual knobs. But then we have certain dash kits, like let's say a Toyota Corolla. So we have a Toyota Corolla dash kit that rather than having a standard double DIN hole, it actually will have a flush mount for you to take one of these IQ radios and sit sit it in there. So now rather than there being a square hole with a screen popping out of it, what's happened is there's a special hole, and then our screen sits flush in there. So what happens is it gives you kind of that bridged gap between aftermarket looking stereo and a factory stereo. And it's kind of bridging the gap where you could stock one of each of our IQ radios, whether that's the one with the knobs, flat screen, or a floating rotating screen, and then a bunch of kits. And the customer could even choose, hey, I like the look of no knobs, or hey, I would prefer knobs. And what happens is when you put the IQ radio into one of our IQ kits, and then you put that into the car, a lot of times you're not going to be able to tell that it's an aftermarket radio. It's going to look more factory. But as far as cost is concerned, it's going to cost much less than one of our T-style applications because it's got less components in it. We're not taking over climate controls and stuff like that. But our kits also will come with plug and play harnesses like our T-style. So if you happen to get one of our IQ kits, it will be plug and play. We will have our own CAN bus, which means unlike the double DIN radios where you'll need some kind of third party interface for steering wheel controls and CAN buses and harnesses like that, the IQ, we kind of go back to our roots with that seamless integration, and we'll have our own kits to retain things like backup camera, steering wheel controls, and all that really easily, just going in the radio, telling the radio what kind of car it's in, and then we'll give you all of those cool features. Some vehicles will be able to do things like AC controls on the radio. It all depend on the application. But the double DINs and the IQ radios is just our way of trying to give you more things at our buffet table when it comes to your customers that maybe they don't have a radio or a vehicle that we make a T-style for, but they like all of the cool features like the Google Play Store and being able to do all the cool things that our radios can. Now we have an option for them to put it in a double DIN kit or even maybe one of our IQ kits. A little less money, but much, much more power and feature set than a standard aftermarket radio. So we really have 2023 has been a great year for us because we are way over here on a very universal, typical standard, can go in just about any car you can fit it in, over here to the biggest screen that the aftermarket world has seen in a car. And there's just a variety of things in the middle. So 2023 has been an exciting year here at Linkswell.
All right, that was Jonathan Detlefsen, Marketing and Tech Support Manager for Linkswell, giving us all the details on so many new products. This is a brand that I feel is on absolute fire. If you want more information or anything here has tickled your fancy, make sure you check out their website, linkswellinc.com. You're going to find all the layouts, all the different applications right there for you to take a closer look at. Now, if you happen to be tuning in from Canada and you're a dealer up here, well, you got to know that the exclusive Canadian distributor for all things Linkswell is indeed Automobility. They can be reached at automob.ca. And on that note, I've reached out to our good friend Phil Cameron, who's the product expert over there. Phil, I know you are just as impressed as I am when it comes to this line of very unique source units. They're delivering it on a big way. I'd like to hear your feedback on what dealers are saying in Canada to these Linkswell units.
Good to be back, Ben, and thank you for the question. So feedback that we got from our dealers, everybody that I've talked to are super happy to have a nice solution to offer to their customers. Like we heard before, people are looking for a bigger screen. They're looking for more apps and gadgets. They want to maintain their vehicle up to speed with all the new gadgets and features offered, but not necessarily go and buy a new truck. So with having Linkswell available for them, it makes them able to replace that factory head unit and add on a couple more features that's going to make it that more enjoyable for their customers and maybe keep their vehicle for a couple more years. So positive is all feedback, and they're loving it.
Now, Phil, you've built yourself quite the reputation in our mobile electronics industry for, being that guy that knows about tech support. And when I remember when Linkswell first came out, the questions behind integration and maintaining and retaining the factory settings and operational options. How has your feedback been when it comes to the tech support that Linkswell provides dealers when it comes to installing these units in all these types of applications?
Tech support is key, and based on the experience that I had personally a couple of times where I had to reach out and ask for expert opinion, they were able to help me or put me in the right direction in order to solve my issues. Also got maybe one or two customers that reached out directly and they got the service. So nothing bad really to say. They do have tech support available. They do offer some great solutions. They do not speak the French, but that's why we're here at Automob, so we can take care of you guys. If you are French Canadian or French and just want to get tech support, we're here for you. Otherwise, tech support is good. As you would expect from any other manufacturer, they will stand behind the product. They're there to help you if you have any questions.
And finally, Phil, I want to hear your opinion because that XL model, I mean, I know it's not going to be at the lowest end of the price scale, but do you feel that that is something, is Linkswell knocking on the door of what's next when it comes to what consumers want in their vehicles as far as screen displays are concerned?
Oh, they are most definitely doing what they have to do to be there and keeping on with the trend, even leading the factories in so many different aspects. So it is great to be having the option to upgrade your screen, add tons of apps and flexibility, the stuff that your factory head unit cannot do. So yes, it's a great brand to deal with, great brand to have, and it's always nicer to have something bigger. Like it was mentioned before, size does matter. Well, on the screen it does. So
that was Phil Cameron, a product specialist over at Automobility, getting a little bit of his perspective from a distribution standpoint. And at the end of the day, after analyzing and absorbing all this great information that Jonathan put forth on today's session, I have to wonder, is this where the source unit category is going? Certainly, we've always, as an industry, taken cues from what the OEM manufacturers are doing, and it is undeniable that maximum screenage is certainly something that is at the top of the list when it comes to features that they want to push towards customers. If you are a shop looking to accommodate said needs and wants from customers that are coming in with these older model vehicles, this is a fantastic option to be able to upgrade that customer and make them feel that their vehicle is right up there with the latest offering. That's it for this CMA Networks presentation brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM with over 150 channels in your vehicle. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.